Hey there, welcome everybody. It is Pete Vargas III. Welcome backstage with PV3. I'm so excited about today's show. You probably noticed that we got word out about today's show a little bit more than we normally do, because what we're going to talk about today is something that I wanted so bad in my business when I got started, and I did it all of the wrong way. I wished I would have known this person. I wish he would have been a friend of mine back then, because I think that I would have exponentially been able to have even more impact with my digital courses out in this world. But I didn't know her. But today I get to bring her backstage with you guys today, which I'm going to do here in just a quick second. But I'm so excited about today's show. Every week we talk about one of four areas. We talk about how to become a world-class communicator, which I think that this guest today is. We talk about how do you begin to get on how do you create your products and services that you want to take out into this world? That's the second thing we talk about. The third thing we talk about is how do you actually take that and get it on other people's stages? How do you get on other people's stages, which cost you very little time and very little money? And it's the quick way to getting your products and services out to the world. And then the fourth thing that we talk about was how do you build your own stages so that you can actually control it and it becomes your own asset. Well, today we're probably going to cross 2 or 3 of those different buckets, but the bucket that we're going to live in the most, today is products and services. It's products and services. I believe that one of the greatest products and services that I think almost every business owner can have in their business, and whether you're getting started, you're trying to gain some momentum, or you're trying to scale in your business today, I believe one of the greatest things that you can have is a digital course where you take your genius, your expertise, you put it into a digital course. And the reason why I got so excited about digital courses when I started the new phase of my business in 2015 is I thought, wow, I could put it all in a digital course. I record it once, I create it once, and then all of a sudden, I can sell unlimited of it. Like I can sell as many as I want. There is no cap because the fulfillment has already been done when you shoot it right away. And so I thought, that's cool. And then I started putting the numbers to it. And I started putting the numbers to it, and I started to realize, oh my gosh, the amount of margins that I can make on a digital course. Like I have very, very little cost or expenses to a digital course. Like this is a very profitable thing. And here's what I did. I didn't go out and seek any expertise. I wished I would have went out and sought our guest who we're having on today, because I just said, cool, I'm going to go create it. And what I did is I went and created it. And I tell people that it took me several months, but it actually took me closer to a year to get my course created, because I felt like it had to be perfect. And I felt like I had to just give everybody everything. And I had to make this thing like I just in my mind did it all of the wrong way. And it took me close to a year to get that digital course out into the world. And then I remember taking it to launch. This is true story. I haven't shared it in probably a year or two. I then go take it out to launch, and I'm thinking, wow, like, how do I launch this? Well, I'm just going to try to figure it out on my own. Mistake once again. And I went and launched it. And my team can tell you, we ended up getting one sale. And the funny thing is that sale actually ended up getting refunded. And what I started to realize is like I had a make or break moment in that time. Do I give up on this, or do I continue to pursue this? And I said, I got to pursue this, because I can only do so much one-on-one coaching. I can only do so much services. I can only be at so many workshops, but like a digital course scales. And so what I did is I went and sought some friends who did it well. Little did I know that several of the friends that I sought out learned from our guests today. And I was able to go do it the right way. And I went and did it the right way. And now today, a few years later, we have tens of thousands of customers who have bought a digital course from us. And it's generated tens of millions of dollars in our business just from digital courses. Our signature digital course was the same thing from 2016 to 2020. We didn't even have to change it. And then we updated it when COVID hit and made it more related to post-COVID world. So I am so excited because really the people who I learned from this person. She is a phenomenal human being. She's got an incredible story. And so guys, I want to welcome today to Backstage with Pete Vargas III, my friend, Amy Porterfield. Will y'all give it up for Amy? Will y'all give it up for Amy? Yeah.
Hey there. Hey, Pete. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, I bet you, you probably didn't know that story, did you?
No, I didn't know at all. And when you said you sold one and then you said it was refunded, my heart just breaks for that. But it happens when you don't have a roadmap. How are you supposed to know how to do this? So it happens to the best of us, my friend.
Yeah, I love it. Well, Amy, tell us so you guys, one of the statistics that's so huge is Amy sold, I think she got 50,000 customers through your courses and over $85 million that have been generated just from courses. Amy, how did you even step into this world? How did you even begin to understand this world?
You know, I always say I'm an ex-corporate girl turned accidental entrepreneur, because for those of you who do know a little bit about my story, my last corporate job was about 14 years ago, and I worked for Tony Robbins. I was the director of content development. I got to travel the world with Tony. Pete knows all the Tony events, Unleash the Power Within, Date with Destiny. I got to work on those events, and it was incredible. However, one day Tony did this big meeting. He brought in a bunch of internet marketers into the room, and there's this big oak table. We were in San Diego, and he brought these guys in who had digital courses, memberships, masterminds, and he wanted to hear more about their businesses. The one thing that Tony does well, I mean, he does a million things well, but the one thing he does really well is he finds people who are doing something that's extraordinary, and he breaks it down and figures out how they were doing it. And since we were getting more into the online world, he wanted to know how they were selling their courses online. So I was brought into this meeting to take notes. A little humbling. I wasn't at the main table. I was at a side table. I was taking notes. And if you know the world of internet marketing, Frank Kern, Evan Pagan, Brendon Burchard, Jeff Walker, these are the guys that were at the table. I had no idea who they were. This was 14 years ago, but I was listening and taking notes, and Tony said, tell me about your businesses. So one by one, they went around, and all I heard them talk about was freedom. They had creativity freedom, time freedom, money freedom. They were making a big impact in the world in all these different niches, but they were doing things on their terms. And they weren't working one-on-one. When you work one-on-one, you're trading time for dollars, and there's only so much you could make. They were doing one-to-many. And something clicked in my head, and I thought, I don't know how they're doing this, but I'm going to figure it out. So fast forward a year from that date of that meeting, I drove out of those San Diego offices and started my own business. The first 2 years were very messy, but as you mentioned, 14 years later, we've done really well in terms of building a business that helps a lot of people start their own businesses.
Yeah. And Amy, you've been able to reproduce what you learned in that meeting, time freedom. You're really digital courses have been pretty much the primary part of what you focused on as you went and built. Is that not accurate?
It's so very accurate. So when I went out on my own in the first 2 years, I was doing social media for small businesses. That's how I got my start. So I was working one-on-one, consulting, coaching, service-based business. And I wanted a digital course so bad because I didn't want to always be tied to sitting at a desk, talking to somebody at a certain time. I didn't want to be tied to that one-on-one work that I knew I was going to hit that glass ceiling. And I also wanted more freedom. What I love about digital courses is that you can launch them live or evergreen. But let's say you're going to launch them live. You go all in, you launch, you deliver an impeccable course, but then you get to step back. You get white space. I'm not always on, and I'm an introvert. So I like to take that time away and step back. So courses give me the freedom to be all in, but also step out when I want to. And I love that about my business.
Wow. I love that. I love that. So what would you say to me, the version of 2015, people are on here because they want to create a course. Actually, I'm going to ask a question, and I want to see this in the chat. I've asked this question before in a different way around webinars. I'm about to ask it from a course. I'm curious, how many of you on our live audience have bought a course from somebody else? Say bought. Drop the word bought in the chat.
Wow, look at that.
Now, I'm gonna flip the script, but if you said it, I'm asking all of our live audience to participate because I'm giving away 10 tickets to our boot camp. I'm gonna underwrite 10 tickets to the boot camp for 10 of our guests live today. And I want to know why you're committed to a course. Now, here's the more powerful question. And I love how many of you have actually sold your own digital course? It looks like 80 or 90% of you have bought,
right?
But you have sold. Drop the word sold, and I want you to see how little. I don't need you to say not me. I just need, if you have, I just need a sold.
Very few.
Yet. Very.
You all are in the right place then.
And how many of you are saying, I want to have a digital course? Like, I'm just curious. Want. Yeah, there you go. You guys are following the lead today. And if you're listening to this at home, like you want a digital course, I love it. I love it. Amy, we got a lot of people that want a digital course, and I'm gonna, hey team, be pulling the people who write, I'm committed to creating my digital course in 2023, because that's the time we're recording this, and why they're committed. I want you guys to give me, 10 names from Twitter Space, from Instagram, from Facebook, and from Zoom. But Amy, what would you say to that person? But that was me. I made so many mistakes. And so I want people to walk away with, like, what is the blueprint or roadmap, or how should they be thinking about that if they are committed?
One of the first things you want to think about when you're creating a course is, what are you going to create a course about? And in my boot camp, I get into this in a lot of detail with lots of examples, but I'll give you a little hint right now how to start thinking about that. You need to start thinking about your 10% edge. A 10% edge means that you've gotten results for yourself or for somebody else, a client, a customer, a family friend, and now you're willing to teach how you got those results to others. Now, I say a 10% edge because you do not need more time, more experience, more education. You already have it in you. You need to be 10 steps ahead of those that you are going to teach. So you can say, hey, come with me, I'll show you the way. But what people think is they need more time or experience, or that imposter syndrome starts to come in. Who am I to be doing this? I don't know enough. I don't have a big enough audience. I need more experience. That is not true. You know things, you've gotten results in areas that other people want to know how you did it. And the most beautiful thing is you need a tiny sliver of the internet to pay attention for you to make great money. Like, think about the money in terms of, let's say your course is $500. And for your first digital course launch, you want to make $10,000. For the record, I made $267. So $10,000 would have felt like a lot of money to me if that was my first launch. So we're going to be conservative. $10,000, your first launch. Your course is $500. 20 people need to raise their hand and say, I want that. So 20 people. So when we put it in that perspective, the numbers do not have to be huge. Sure, I've had over 50,000 students go through my courses. I've been around for 14 years. That's a long time. So to go back to where we're starting, we're looking for your 10% edge. Where have you gotten results in your personal life or your business life, and you want to teach it? Let me give you a few quick examples. It doesn't have to be in your business, meaning you have a 9-to-5 job maybe right now, or you're out on your own, but you have this idea for a digital course that's different than that. That's okay. One of my students, she's a corporate banker. She's done it for over 20 years, but she was really good at photography, boudoir photography, like the sexy kind of photography. And she made a whole course on that as a corporate banker, but her digital course was something so different. And she made hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it doesn't have to be your profession, but it can. One of my students, he's an accountant. He works for somebody else, and he created a course on how to do your taxes for resellers, Etsy sellers, eBay sellers, how to do your taxes so you don't mess them up. And he hit the $1 million mark this week. He started just 2 years ago, and he's already hit $1 million in digital course sales. This is a guy that was working for somebody else as an accountant. Don't think that it can't be you. These are people that also didn't think it could be them, but they put their minds to it. They got to work and they kept it simple. I don't like a lot of bells and whistles in the beginning because you'll never do it. So we keep it simple.
I love keeping it simple. And I love what, I mean, guys, one of the things that I want to re-emphasize is it's not just business courses. I get that freaking logic from so many people. It's got to be
Yes.
business. No, it's personal. I just bought a course and I'm looking at the workbook over there of the course. I just bought a course. I couldn't find anybody but one person that's teaching how I can read the word of God better. Like I'm very active in my faith, very active in the word, but I've never been to like theology school or anything like that. So I was looking for somebody. I found a person. I paid $297 for that course. And it's just a course that's teaching me how to read the word of God. So it doesn't have to be business. It can be personal. And I love what Amy said. It doesn't have to be a current entrepreneur, although I believe every entrepreneur should have a course in their portfolio. Yeah. Like you think about me, you think about like even one of my partners, Grant sold hundreds of millions of dollars of education. He starts the year off with over $30 million of reoccurring income just in one of his courses. That's a reoccurring course. So yes, entrepreneurs need it, but I love what Amy said. Like you could be working or doing something right now and go out and create your own course. So once you get that 10% edge, where do you go from there? Like once you get clear on that, like what would be the next step in the process, Amy?
So the one thing that you want to start thinking about is who do you want to sell to? Who is going to buy your course? Because I can't give you a magic bullet. You do need to grow an audience. You do need social media followers and an email list. But again, we don't need hundreds of thousands of people. Pete and I have really big email lists. We didn't start there. You always start from zero. And so you want to start growing your audience while you create your course. When I teach my students how to create their courses, at the same time, we start growing their email list so that when your course is ready, you have people to sell to. But just remember, again, we don't need a huge email list. I usually say, if you can get 500 people on your email list, you're ready to launch your first course. And I have success story after success story of people with 500 people on their email list, and they've made 5 and 6 figures. So why I love to talk about this is because sometimes we make it bigger than it needs to be in our heads. All of you watching right now, all of you listening, you have a course in you. You could have it done by the end of the year and you could start making money. And imagine what it would feel like when you wake up on January 1 and you know you have an asset in your business that can make you money throughout the entire 2024 and beyond. So that's the cool thing, Pete, about digital courses. I want you to make one digital course, and then I want you to launch it and sell it over and over and over again. The reason why a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with building their businesses, they're always starting from scratch. But my secret is I create one thing, and then I just get better and better and better at selling that one thing. And so that's another thing about digital courses. One digital course, you can make $1 million with one digital course.
And guys, I used to think that was a pipe dream, but I think there's multiple digital courses now that we've made over $1 million. I'm curious with our live audience, and if you're listening to this in the show, I'm curious, what is the area that you want to help people in? Like personally or professionally, drop that. I want to know what you want to help people in, because 90% of you have said you bought somebody else's digital course, but only 10% of you said you've sold it. Let's close that gap today. Today's training intended to close that gap. That's a big gap. Why don't you become part of the 90%, and not be the other part? So finances and wealth perseverance, parenting, financial literacy for kids, helping tech workers find work. Like, look at that. Like everybody, like, what are you mentoring, detoxing? Like, what is that edge that you understand? Like, I think about like, even my wife, if she created a digital course, like, man, she has 2 or 3 of them in her. She's never created one, but I'm trying to think about hers today too, guys. Like I might take her through the process of creating her first digital course. Maybe we do that, Rachel. We take behind the scenes of Kim creating her first digital course, because she's the introvert. She's the introvert. She's never sold anything. I don't know why that's popping up for me, but I'm starting to like that idea, Amy. Amy, what gets in the way? So my wife or anybody else, what gets in the way? I know for me, one of the things that got in the way for me is I thought I needed to have it perfect. And I thought I needed to have everything. And I thought I needed to understand tech. And so like, it took me a year to do something, if I'd have known you, that I could have done in a month.
Yes.
What gets in the way? What are the biggest things that prohibit people?
Okay, one of the big things that gets in the way is that people start to think, what if I create this? What if I put the time, money, energy into it and no one buys? They go right to the negative. It's very normal for us when we're new at something. What if nobody buys? What if I waste my time yet again on something in my business that now I'm struggling? And what I teach my students is you never have to sell your digital course. You never have to create your digital course before you actually sell it. I'm a big fan of pre-selling your course before you make a single video. So what I teach my students is we're going to build out the outline. We're going to get clear on what this course is, what it's about, what we're going to offer, and then we're going to pre-sell it before you create anything. And my goal is 10 people need to buy so that you are validated with your course idea. Then you can go back and start creating it. So that fear of what if nobody buys? Well, if you didn't create the course yet, it doesn't matter. We can go back to the drawing board and tweak things and validate in different ways. But I love a good pre-sale so that fear never has to come up. Another one that comes up is, well, I work one-on-one with clients. How many of you, give me a yes in the comments if you do one-on-one coaching, one-on-one consulting, or service-based work? Give me a yes. Okay, great. Many, many of you. So one of the things that comes up a lot is, I don't have time for a digital course because I'm working with my one-on-one clients. I need to make money. Amy, this is where my money's coming from. And a lot of times that's going to stifle you. You're going to stay on the sidelines. And a year from now, when Pete and I are talking about digital courses again, you're going to be so frustrated that you didn't get started now. So none of us have extra time. We are all very busy. That's very valid. But you have to ask yourself, what do I want more of? What do I want more of? And a lot of time, I want more money and more time. And the only way to get that is if you create something in your business that is one to many. So we're going to have to make a few sacrifices, maybe a few early mornings, later nights, or weekends for a small season so that you have an asset. So now you have two streams of revenue. You have your one-on-one work and you have your digital course. And now you can charge more for your one-on-one work and you can be choosy who you work with. Because any of us who have ever done one-on-one work, there's a lot of people we'd like to fire and not work with. You don't have to work with them anymore. So making the time so that in the future you have a lot more time, that is the way you want to look at this.
I love that. Like the first year, a lot of people don't know this, but I ended up working with people, 50 people one-on-one.
Wow.
And it was so overwhelming. And if I said a lot of the names, you guys would know them. And there was probably 5 to 10 that I really, really enjoyed working with. And there were probably like 30 or 40 that it's like, man, right? I feel like a course would have served them even better than they weren't ready for me working with me one-on-one. And like, as we got the course, one of the top things, people think that the course isn't going to get the type of results that one-on-one can get. That's not true. One of our top products in our entire product suite is our course, and here's what I want you guys to know about it. 9.7 net promoter score, and people love it because of the results that it gets it. And it's so much easier for me because the same thing I'm doing one-on-one is I'm saying, I said the same thing, all 50 of them.
Okay. Pete, I'm so glad you brought this up. One of the things that people say is, Amy, I do one-on-one work that will never translate into a digital course. I pitch and catch, we deal with their specific issues. But Pete, you just said it. There are themes and patterns that anyone who does one-on-one work, there are themes and patterns that you will find and you can put into a digital course. There's questions you answer all the time. There's frameworks that you teach over and over again. You're like a broken record when you have a bunch of clients. We're going to take that and put that into a digital course. So I'm so glad you brought that up. Your one-on-one work will absolutely translate into a digital course. I see it done every single day.
Guys, I don't know about y'all, but I'm wanting to create another course, and I'm just telling you, I'm going to figure out how to have my wife create her first course. Like,
yes,
never thought about it. She's never created. I'm like, and our good friend Jenna knows Kim well. She is like the greatest friend. She understands how to be the greatest friend. She is overcome some of the most biggest challenges. So I'm just like wrapping my brain around her course, but I'm going to talk her into creating a course, Amy, between you and I. So I'm going to talk her into it, and I'm going to take our community behind the scenes with that somehow, because because, and I wished I would have known about pre-selling. Like, man, if I could have
Me too.
sold it first, that would have been amazing. Hey guys, here in about 5 or 10 minutes, I'm going to give away, and by the way, we're going to take questions with Amy too, and you're going to see us shoot a live ad or two that you guys will get to watch us shoot here in a minute, which is really, really cool. So I'm going to ask you guys, like, who is committed to creating and launching a course this year? Give me a sentence or two of why you're created. I've asked my team to pull 10 people because I'm going to make sure that you are paid for to be a part of Amy's boot camp that's coming up, because I believe that every business owner or people who are trying to enter into the entrepreneur space, I believe a course is one of the greatest ways that you can start. And Amy sitting in that room with all of the big internet marketers, she was like, oh my gosh, I can see this for me.
Yes.
And now she's the leading authority on it. Like, she is the leading authority on it. And so I'm going to make sure you're pulling that. Amy, what else would you want us to know around the concept? Because here's the goal. My goal of the interview is, like, somebody feels motivated, whether they go through a boot camp or not, that they feel motivated to get this done this year, make a sale this year. Actually, go ahead.
I love that you said, I am one of the leading people in the industry teaching people how to create courses. Like, I'm known for that. Typically, if you say Amy Porterfield, people will say, oh yeah, she's the girl that teaches you how to create a digital course. That's not by accident. It's because I have a digital course that for years and years, once a year, I teach people how to do it. So I tell you this to say, if you want to put your name on the map, if you want to be known for something, if you want to cut through the noise online, a digital course puts you on the map. When you start selling a digital course, and let's say you sell it consistently for over a year, you will be known for that. And that's why people know to call me to speak on stage, to be interviewed on podcasts, to get opportunities in big magazines and PR, because I'm known for something. A digital course did that for me. A digital course has done that for Pete. So if you want to be known for something, get your course out into the world this year so you can wake up on January 1, 2024 and say, okay, this is my year to cut through the online noise and finally get those invitations and opportunities that I deserve. A digital course opens doors for you. That I know more than anything is true.
Yeah, guys. And I want y'all to know out there, like, Amy and I have chosen to do it one way, which is, and we have a lot of people, this is streaming on Grant's Twitter space and several of his socials. Amy and I have done it one way, but I'm going to tell you what, I love how Grant did it. Grant's like, I don't want to have to even resell my digital course every year. So he put it on continuity, Amy.
I love it. Yes. Okay. Love that. That's such a great idea. Continuity, evergreen. You don't have to live launch. I have a course that I sell every single day that makes more than $3 million a year, and I don't have to touch it. And so I teach my students how to do live launches and evergreen, because I think both models are really smart for a business. But continuity models with courses, amen. I love what Grant does.
Yeah, I love that. Amy, a couple of questions, couple last questions. And I'm going to speak into this one too, but I'm going to let, if I said one of, I meant to say the leading authority. So I stand corrected on one of, but Amy is, guys. But I'm going to speak into this because I've also sold a lot of digital courses. A lot of people are like, yeah, I get the course launched, which, by the way, the biggest barrier that I faced is people getting their courses launched. Like, yes. Even, I think he's a friend of yours, but a good friend of mine, Hal Elrod, talked for 3 or 4 years of getting his course launched.
Yes.
And finally, we're like, get to my freaking house. We're going to shoot it in a day.
Good. I love Hal.
We ended up selling lots of courses, but that's part one. Part two is the launching of the course. So pre-selling, but what are some of the greatest marketing and sales channels that you have seen to work to getting your course out to the market in the launch phase?
There is one thing that you can do, hands down, the best way to sell a course. And some of you are not going to want me to say this next word because you're too scared to do it, but stay with me. It's webinars. I've been using webinars since the day I left my corporate job, and we're 14 years in, and they still work better than anything I can encourage you to do. And here's why. Webinars, I always say, allow me the right to promote. What I mean by that is 40 minutes, I'm giving immense, free, great value. No matter if they buy or not, they are getting immense value. So I've earned the right to then sell. Okay, if you love this and you want to take the next step, I've got your solution. And so it's such a beautiful transition into, if you want this and love this, I've got your solution. And so it feels good to me to do it that way. And when I teach my students slide by slide by slide how to do a webinar, they finally get it. So I think webinars hands down are the best way to sell a digital course.
And Amy, I know you'll be covering that, but that's the same conversation Grant and I had at the beginning of the year. He's like, listen, I'm tired of all these other things. Webinars are what have generated, he said, $1 billion because every money he raised in his business comes from doing a webinar first.
Wow.
So him and I decided to create something to help people get their first webinar launched. And we had like a 95% success rate with people launching their first webinar, because we believe webinars, and you see a lot of people saying that was a setup. I'm telling you, Amy and I had no idea. We have not rehearsed. She has no idea the questions I'm asking
No,
her.
someone said it was a setup. No.
Oh yeah, no.
If you follow me, you know I'm obsessed with webinars.
Well, they think because I've been preaching that, and we just had a lot of students enter into something with that. So I love webinars, guys. I echo Amy. I also love other people's stages. And so I've had our good friend, Michael Hyatt, has let me sell my course to his crowd because of, he doesn't teach that.
Yeah.
And you can take care of people well, you can compensate them well and pay them well. So I love other people's stages. And then once you get a little bit more advanced, you're going to see Amy and I do this in a minute. Paid media is a great way to get people to enter into whatever funnel you take them down their course. But I love webinars. I love other people's stages. And as you start to understand paid media, that's a little bit more advanced strategy. Those are ways that we've sold our course. Amy, here is kind of the final question, like any final thoughts that you have around people creating their course. And then Rachel, make sure y'all are texting me because we're going to have some fun in the Q&A. Hey, make sure you drop a question. If you have a question for Amy and I, drop the word question, and then my team will find some of the best questions for you guys that we'll be able to answer in the after the live show. But any final thoughts? And then I'm gonna ask you after final thoughts, why, actually answer this. Why should everybody listening create a digital course?
Because you deserve more freedom in the business that you've created or the business that you're creating. Look, we all left 9 to 5, or many of you wanting to leave 9 to 5 because we want to own our time. We want to do what we want, when we want, how we want. And I don't know any better way to do it than with a digital course, because it gives you that freedom to go all in when you want to, step back when you don't, sell on evergreen, have one course that you could sell over and over again. So you get off that hamster wheel of always starting from scratch, always creating something. You want a digital course in your business because you deserve to have more freedom and more consistent revenue. And I have seen for many, many years, it is the #1 thing that will allow you to be an expert, to be that go-to source, and enjoy that freedom that I feel we all deserve as entrepreneurs.
I love that. I love that. Amy, final thoughts as we wrap up today. Today's been so good. I'll give a final thought after you just before we officially end the show. You guys aren't going to want to go anywhere for the aftermath. Hey, every week you can join us backstage with pv3.com, backstage with pv3.com. You can join us live, and live is fun because the chat is lighting up everywhere across all of our channels. But Amy, just the final thoughts today that you have for people as they're listening.
Well, for the record, I can't believe how many people you have on live. That is very impressive. I get on a lot of these, but yours, wow, that's so cool. And thank you all for being here. I think the last thing I'll say, and this is not a plug for me, obviously I teach people how to create courses. One of the biggest mistakes I made, and that I heard Pete say he made as well, and I didn't know that until today, find somebody who's gone before you, who has had success and is willing to share their roadmap. Whether it be me or you want to learn from somebody else you resonate with more, don't hunt and peck all over the web and hope you get it right. I'm at a live event right now, and I ran into a bunch of people after my talk, and they said, I have a course and it crashed and burned. It didn't do well. And I said, how did you learn how to do it? I just made it up. Imagine if someone were to teach you every step of the way, step by step by step, you'll get it so much more quickly. So find your guide, whoever that might be, get your course done so you can create more freedom.
Guys, I love that. Courses have been so huge for me. And I believe they've been so huge for you. I want you guys just to stay tuned. I'm so excited. We're about to give away 10 I'm going to fund 10 people in being a part of Amy's boot camp. If you're listening to this on the replay, you can still go to this page. It might be too late, but I'll definitely have a waiting list for next time. Go to peteandamy.com, peteandamy.com. It will keep you up to date about her boot camp that, Amy, I think you do one time a year, right?
Once a year. Yep. And it's the most inexpensive thing I do all year. So it's an opportunity you don't want to miss.
Yeah. So if it's during that time and you're listening to this after the fact, make sure you go there and get registered. And if it's not happening, we'll have a wait list up and we'll keep you notified of when it actually is happening again. We're going to give out 10 of those today. For those of you listening live, $47, guys. It's the cost of a good hardback book. I just bought a hardback book for $45. I want to encourage you guys, go be a part of this. This boot camp is out of this world. I wished I would have had it when I got started, because I might have double the course sales today, because I wasted a year of trying to figure things out on my own. And I'm so grateful that I got to learn from some people who I know are actually students of Amy. So Amy, thanks for being with us on the live show today.
Thank you so much. It was so fun. Nice to talk to you.
Awesome, guys. Hey, we'll be back next week live with Backstage with PD3. Thanks for this week, and we will talk to you soon.